One of the finishing pieces on any physique is a strong, beefy set of forearms, but the wrong way to train it, one of the most inefficient ways to get your forearm kicks in, is to just do wrist curls. But you see it all the time in big box gyms. People are just doing wrist curls, and I don't understand how that's a forearm workout. The reality is, it's just not your best choice of training.
Back in the day when we started working out, no education whatsoever, that was the thing, right? We'd go through the workout, behind the back wrist curls, arms on the bench wrist curls, but in reality, we're training only one dimension of the forearm. And when we go to translate into something else or put it towards everyday life or training, we're not really strong in any other position but the wrist curl.
Wrist curls seem simple. It seems like the best way to train your forearms. The reality is it is the most overrated version of forearm training. And if you're gonna do one forearm exercise, don't make it that. We're gonna explain why now. So the first reason not to waste your time doing wrist curls in the gym, they reinforce bad biceps curling form. And trust us, we're gonna get to this a little bit later, the biceps curl plays a much more important role in your training. When we're doing biceps curls though, we wanna find a nice neutral wrist position and maintain that as we go through the life of the curl so that we can train the targeted muscles. Whether we're doing biceps curls, hammer curls, reverse curls, we still wanna have that neutral wrist. All we're doing when we do the wrist curl is we're reinforcing this position where we're fully flexed at the wrist, and that's gonna put us at a disadvantage whether we're doing biceps curls or rows or pull-ups or anything like that. So we don't need to spend too much time on that in the gym. That's why the wrist curl just isn't worth it.
And the second reason why wrist curl is just completely overrated is because your forearm is much more capable of other motions than just flexion. When we're thinking about the forearm, we have flexion, we have extension, like Eb said, stabilizing the wrist in different things like the hammer curl, the pull-up.
Exactly, it's all about balance on top of that too. If we're only training that flex position and our forearm is capable of more, and we're never training our forearm into extension, we're never strengthening those muscles, that is a recipe for tendonitis and other issues over the long term. So that's another reason it's just not worth doing that. Our third reason to not overdo the wrist curls, heck, don't do them at all, we'll get to more on that later, is because your forearms are capable of a lot more strength than you showcase in the wrist curls. Sure, we can throw a pair of 25s on the back of a barbell and bang out those behind the back wrist curls. We're gonna do even less when we're doing it with our forearm parallel to the ground, but our forearms are so much stronger than that. They're capable of lifting heavier weight, and they're gonna get the challenge that they need to really grow when we challenge them with better grip exercises to have us moving more load. So it's just not worth spending all your time doing wrist curls. That's why we'd rather have you do these three ideas instead. Your first option in the quest to build actual strong forearms without wasting your time on wrist curls is basically any other kind of curl. So when we're doing our biceps curls, our hammer curls, our reverse curls, our forearm gets a ton of work in that. Our biceps and other muscle groups may be our target muscle groups that we're trying to train, but regardless of the curl that you're doing, you've got to grip with intent when you're doing a curl. And one of the keys to training forearms is really just that gripping with intent idea.
Yeah, every primary muscle has a secondary. In that sense, the bicep would be primary, forearm secondary, and the changing the positions of your wrists will put more focus on different parts of the forearm so you get a nice, even, complete workout, not on one side, but all the sides of your forearm.
Exactly, your forearm is working at different points throughout the curl. It has to essentially correct and make sure it maintains that neutral position. That can be a lot more work for your forearm, and it's gonna give you a good forearm pump as you're pumping your biceps, your brachialis, whatever else you're training. Our favorite curls, if you're gonna look to do two curls that really isolate and attack your forearms, one, go to the hammer curl where we've got our palm in a neutral position. Two, look at the reverse curl with an easy curl bar that's gonna hit that meaty other side of your forearm that you're not touching at all with the wrist curls.
The second alternative would be the bottoms up clean and twist. Now this is a little bit more of an unconventional exercise, but you're gonna get so much more out of it. Now, we're not gonna be able to load the weight as heavy as we could as if we were holding a kettlebell or a dumbbell in a rack position, but we're holding the kettlebell on an upside down position. So the weight is wobbling side to side, forward and back. So we're really focusing on maintaining this vertical or this neutral position in the forearm and the wrist to stabilize that wrist position. When we add that twist, we're just gonna add a little bit more of a dynamic that's gonna challenge us just a tad bit over the top, which this bottoms up position is already over the top challenging.
Exactly, stay in this position here because it is all about 360. That's what's happening when we're in that bottoms up clean. And it's all about micro correcting as we're doing it, because when we're in that clean, we have to explode into that position, essentially find a way to catch it. That's gonna require a lot of quick twitch in our forearms that we don't get when we're doing wrist curls, and we don't get when we're doing a lot of forearm exercises, period. And then when we add that twist, we've got to micro correct as we go the entire time, because that kettlebell is upside down. If he loses this vertical forearm position where his forearm is perpendicular to the ground at all, he's not going to be able to maintain the kettlebell. It is a fun exercise, and again, your forearms are capable of a lot, so why not challenge them in multiple directions? Our third option for you directly addresses the idea that your forearms are capable of a lot more strength than you're gonna get with the wrist curl. We're gonna go to a farmer's carry or a farmer's hold. This is super simple. You can execute this anywhere, which is one of the greatest things about it. All you're gonna do is find two really heavy things. They can be barbells, dumbbells, kettlebells. Grab the heaviest weights in your gym. Just standing there with those weights for 30 seconds. Whether you're standing, you can also turn this into a farmer's walk. Either way, your forearms and your grip have to really lock in so that you can just hold those heavy weights together. You wanna pick up something really heavy to make it work. Your forearms are capable of so much more heavy training than you're gonna get with the wrist curl.
Yeah, and I think that's the best way to end off the workout, right? Really drain that muscle for everything it has after you've done the reps, you've got to push through. Now it's just, can we hold on till we can't, right? Just drain every bit of energy out of that forearm. And for me, I'm always about, does this transfer over to anything in life? And there's so many things in life that that carry will translate into, and it's just gonna help you in the long run.
Exactly. What does this translate into in real life? Absolutely nothing. That's why you wanna get away from the wrist curls, hit R3 moves instead. Your forearms will thank us.